she shared a property with me. And I said, well, you could be looking at, because they didn't have tons of money saved, but I said, you could be looking at about $1,900 a month. And I said, well, what are you paying in rent? She said, well, we're only paying $1,100. And for her, I said, that's a pretty sizable jump in a payment. And I said, if your number one goal of buying a house was to get a cheaper payment than rent, then owning a home is not for you. I said, but there's other things to consider with owning a house. You're able to build wealth because you're paying down your mortgage over time, where you're renting, you're not, unfortunately, doing that right.
Yeah.
As well, you can make it your own. You can paint the house. You can do whatever you want, right? And you don't have to answer to a landlord. And I think another really important part is you're building roots, within a community, with your family.
Because you never really feel like you're part of it when you're renting, right? There's just a feeling.
But here's the one thing I didn't ask her, and she brought it up, and I said, that was a great way of what she mentioned. She said, well, yes, we're only paying $1,100, but if we were to rent a house that we need for our growing family, that rent payment could be $2,500. Like, extremely low rent now, but they're in a very small town. They're looking to get in a bigger community, and we're starting to look at some of these rent costs for homes that would suit our needs.
Ooh.
And that's doubling our payment. We're already going to be in that situation. Like, we're in a pretty good situation right now, but if we were to find another property as big as we need, we're looking at about $2,500. And I said, well, if we look at things that way, then home ownership makes a lot of sense for you.
All in all, with the maintenance and upkeep, you're going to be right around, I don't want to say 25, you're only getting close to $2,500 a month, but then, like you said, you're gaining equity in a home. It's, I don't want to necessarily say it's an investment, but you're getting something for it. You're not just renting and then you can't sell it for something, So I see that makes a lot of sense for your buyer.
Yeah. So I think it's everyone's situation's different, versus what they're paying now for housing, whether it's renting, a mortgage payment, and the whole saying, well, you should buy because buying a house is cheaper than renting. I can't really stand behind that necessarily, but I think there's a lot of obviously pros of trying to buy.
Yeah, and that's why people talk to mortgage lenders like me and you. We're going to have these honest conversations. We're going to say, okay, it's not all about this payment we're talking about. There's other things that you're going to have to remember that you're going to have to do. You got to buy a lawnmower, and assuming it's a house, it's like not a condo or something.
You don't have to mow your yard.
Yeah, well, you can pay someone,